After taking me over the course of 4 months and around 25 something hours of play, I finally completed Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. Although my procrastination may imply some negative speculation, I thought Soul Hackers was a real good time. It had a cool setting, I liked the music, and the story was pretty cool too, and I especially fell in love with its gameplay. While there's a lot it does well in its gameplay, it further develops something that I really wasn't expecting and that the Magnetite series barely seems to utilize nowadays: Magnetite. And with little significance in most of the games that it's in, being a slight annoyance at its very worst, with Soul Hackers and maybe Rido 2 being the exceptions. I really wasn't expecting to discuss Soul Hackers this soon, and I'll likely return to it again at some point, but its distinction from the series' use of Magnetite was that impressionable. I really want to talk about it. It's one of the best parts of it, and I don't see it being discussed much within the community, and is my main reason why I want to talk to you about why it kicks total butt. Maybe you'll agree with me? Hopefully not, but before that, I think it's necessary to do a quick rundown on what Soul Hackers is itself, and what the hell even is Magnetite and where it comes from. Devil Summoner Soul Hackers' origins go back to 1997, when it was released for the Sega Saturn and acts as a loose sequel to the original Devil Summoner. Like its predecessor, Soul Hackers focuses less on a philosophical story of clashing ideologies, and rather a more lax story about computers. Soul Hackers' basic setup is that you and your good friend Hitomi belong to a hacker group known as the Spookies, in the futuristic and very blue Amami City. This place lives and dies on technology, which is none more apparent than what's currently the hot shit: Paradigm X, a mega popular VR hub that's recently opened up its beta. After getting on your hacker shit, you enter Paradigm X with Hitomi and experience a vision quest, revealing that Amami City and Paradigm X aren't all that they seem. Hoping to find answers, you and the rest of the Spookies look into the underbelly of Amami City, encountering demons, conspiracies, and secret societies along the way. Despite the heavier direction on mystery, Soul Hackers, and the rest of the Devil Summoner games to an extent, are still Magnetite games, using franchise staples like the first-person dungeon crawling, turn-based combat, demon negotiation, fusion, so on and so on. While taking a lot from its parent series, it manages to distinguish itself by using a variety of original mechanics not seen elsewhere throughout the franchise, such as with the really enjoyable demon loyalty and sword fusion systems. But Soul Hackers is also a lot more willing to reinterpret the mechanics it's taken from in a very refreshing way, like the more conceptualized row system and Magnetite. Also, note that this does all likely appear in the original Devil Summoner, but I have no way of playing that, at least, comfortably. So getting into what even Magnetite is in terms of Megaten lore and continuity, it's basically the material that allows for demons to take on physical forms within the human realms. Its origins date back to the Megami Tensei 2 novel, which reads, "Most likely, the high concentration of biological magnetite within her body had been a major player in creating the magnetic field for the summoning," which I'm not going to give you context for. Read it yourself. It's an idea that's not always brought up much in the games, and when it is, it's barely relevant to the plot. It mostly serves to be a gameplay mechanic in whatever game it's included in, sometimes not even fitting in with its actual origins. But typically, Mag acts as a second currency to summon demons, which is displayed in the first Megami Tensei games, SMTs 1 through IF, the Devil Summoners, and even that weird Tokyo Revelations OVA, which has an English dub and I'd recommend watching at least once. It's pretty weird. Anyways. As the series has gone on, sadly, Magnetite has definitely seen less and less usage, and whenever it is, it's pretty different than how it was originally used throughout the series, such as in Rido 2 or The Devil Survivors. The most recent instance of the mechanic in this series is in DX2, which it's used for fusion and not much else. So in terms of how Magnetite ranges from game to game as a mechanic is, like I said, sometimes an annoyance, and most of the time it's just there. But Soul Hackers surprisingly managed to stand out due to its spectacular execution of the mag system, and it's just fun, honestly. Really liked it. Getting into how it functions and why I think it's good and fun, in Soul Hackers, Magnetite is mainly awarded to the player after battles and is on the rare occasion gifted from demons or hidden in random chests. The material serves multiple purposes. There's the basics like summoning demons and keeping them summoned, but there's also being able to fuse them, buying them from the compendium, healing your team in dungeons, and very, very importantly, getting in. See, in Soul Hackers, Mag is the currency of the game. There is a limited method of getting it, yet it is needed everywhere. And that slight adjustment is very important to consider when playing the game. With Mag being such a key part of, well, just about everything in Soul Hackers, it really changes how you perceive and prioritize it. To give a personal example, on my first playthrough when I was around the Amami float, I had come across a dilemma. I was scarily short on Magnetite with a full team of demons, with every step I took in the dungeon draining more and more from my stock. If this were any other Mega 10 title, I'd only have to worry about not being able to summon and keep demons summoned. But in Soul Hackers, Magnetite contributes to a lot of what you do in the game. I had to also worry about getting enough Magnetite to convert into yen, summon demons through the demonic compendium, heal in dungeons, and fuse demons. Comparing this to SMT1, which I've been playing recently, Magnetite is used to keep demons summoned and maybe trade for negotiations, and that's really it. I didn't have much of a reason to think about it than SMT1 due to its limited usage, but in Soul Hackers it's more or less the exact opposite. The wide range of uses creates greater significance, changing how we perceive and prioritize Magnetite as a resource. Here are the two playstyles I've picked up on while playing Soul Hackers. You may choose to play it safe and go with a full team of demons, handling the encounters no problem, yet not have enough Magnetite for other resources and potentially having to grind it, or play the riskier route, using a limited stock of demons, being easily susceptible to death, but also getting a lot more Magnetite for in-game resources. Magnetite creates a risk-reward system that allows players to play how they want to, with pros and cons for each side, encouraging the player to experiment and see what they want to play as, and see what they prefer. While this does apply to other Mega 10 games like SMT1 to an extent, the wider applicability of Magnetite and Soul Hackers emphasizes this experiment to an even greater extent, which is why I really like it. Though this risk-reward system is not the best it could be. As much as I do enjoy it, there are some pretty noticeable flaws. One of Mega 10's core appeals is being able to wield a team using a grand library of mythos from the world over, and see how they're interpreted in gameplay or stories. It also acts as a neat little history lesson. They don't really need to do it, but it's there, because demons are a pretty big part of the series, no matter which game you decide to pick up. You could be Devil Summoner, the mainline series, or Persona. Soul Hackers isn't different in this regard, to a certain degree. Directing the focus back to the use of Magnetite and its risk-reward system in Soul Hackers, there are two general ways of prioritizing mag. The safer method, where you use more demons at the significant cost of mag, or the riskier route, where we use a lot less demons for a greater output of mag. Like previously, I'd mentioned that this system can apply to the other SMT titles, using this similar version of mag, but it's a lot more pronounced here because of the currency's greater applicability. The implications of this go against what the series holds in high regard. Basically, the safer route encourages experimentation in the usage of demons to a much greater extent than the riskier route. While yes, you're able to take one route over the other, and this may just seem like a con of one side, it still to an extent downplays one of the series' best aspects. Not to the extent where it's non-existent, but a lot less noticeable than usual. I understand that the system isn't completely black or white, but compared to the other Mega 10 games like 1, 3, 4, Strange Journey, Raido, I almost always have a full party of demons, not only because I want to stack the odds in my favor, but because I like the demons themselves. They all got their own movesets and stats to make them fun to experiment. And this applies to Soul Hackers, but I feel much less incentivized to use the full party on riskier routes outside of the bosses. But I personally feel a lot less incentivized to use a full party of demons outside of boss fights. Taking things in a more optimistic light, I think one way in which you could look at this limitation on demons, if you, the player, try taking the riskier route, it encourages its own unique kind of experimentation not seen throughout the series since. See, since you're only going to be using 3, 2, or even 1 demon if you're insane enough, wouldn't it be optimal to make sure those are the best possible demons you could use at a given time? When limiting your options to less than what's desirable, you can't exactly make progress with numbers alone. You can't pick too many demons. Early on while playing some Soul Hackers, I often used a full team of demons. I didn't really consider what their background was, like their stats, affinities. It was mostly just like, you have this move and are weak to that, alright. And I was able to get through with numbers alone. But when I reached that impasse where I started to experiment using a riskier method for Magnetite, I had to carefully consider which demons/demons were good enough. Bringing fusion onto the mix, I also began to fuse a lot more of my demons to have maybe 1 or 2 demon powerhouses while dungeon crawling. This limitation on demons was able to help encourage me to play around with my team composition and the fusion mechanics even more than I would have originally. While yes, playing the riskier way does limit the number of demons you'll be using for a majority of the game, it does encourage use and experimentation with them, and if I'm able to find enjoyment there, then I'm definitely willing to forgive not being able to experiment with every demon in the game. And I guess in a way that just makes it similar to Strange Journey, which is always good in my book because Strange Journey is really, really good. So I'd still say Soul Hackers and the way it uses Magnetite is, warts and all, pretty enjoyable. I really like how its great significance in the game compared to others creates a high sense of priority, allowing for multiple styles of play based around it. While one way of playing around Magnetite does de-incentivize using a variety of demons, one of the series' most appealing and radical aspects, it creates its own unique form of experimentation through optimization, also not seen throughout the series since. I didn't expect such a weird title to do something not seen since with the series, but I was pleasantly surprised. Soul Hackers ended up doing something really cool, and I kind of wish the series would do something like it again, but who knows if they would get it right again. Maybe they'd improve upon it, maybe they wouldn't, but I guess Soul Hackers is pretty rad.